The general meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Sandwich Public Library District is now in session. Call to order. Jen?
Here.
Heather?
Here.
Nancy Sanders?
Here.
Julie?
Here.
Matthew?
Here.
Nancy Schroeder?
Here.
Jane Wolf, I am here, and our director?
Here.
Barb Posinger here. Any additions, deletions, or changes to our agenda?
I would like to make a deletion for point 3 board nominations, just because we have it also under new business letter C. So I'll just consolidate that topic.
Before we begin public comment, a few guidelines. All remarks should be addressed to the board rather than to any individual trustee. Neither the board nor the director is expected to respond. This is your time to speak. To promote decorum and mutual respect, members of the public are expected to refrain from displays of approval or disapproval, such as applause or laughter, when a speaker is addressing the board. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. A trustee of the board will keep time. Please wait for her signal to begin. It is the responsibility of the board representative alone to notify a speaker when time has expired. If the speaker does not give back the floor to the board president will remind them that they are out of order. It is out of order for other members of the public to call for the speaker to stop. Please refrain from speaking before, during, or after someone else's public comment, and allow the board president to moderate. The board president retains the right to stop any speaker who uses profanity or abusive language during public comment. If the speaker has a request of the board, this should be made within the 3 minutes of allotted speaking time. Speakers may contact the director or board president by email for an appointment to discuss any public comment. We will begin with our first public comment. Jen Penn will be our timer. Please wait for her signal. We'll start with Elsie Morrissey.
Okay, the first thing is, again, I come to ask you to start your meetings with the pledge. Saturday is Flag Day. And so in honor of our country and our love of our country, and for the war dead, including those who have died from PTSD, we should, it is appropriate to show respect and love for our country at a public meeting paid for by taxpayers. So I'm asking you to begin your meeting, and the VFW is aware that I'm here and wants to know how you feel about the country. And the second thing, you have raised this issue that interlibrary loan was going away. And in response to that, I told Barb that I would call Darren Hood, the congressman from, not from our district, but from the one right over, about this. And he said this was never a reality, or it was never part of the big, beautiful bill that just went through Congress last week. It was a rumor only, and it was never based in fact. And you didn't have to worry. So I don't want to come and encourage you not to worry about interlibrary loan, because it is a good thing. And we need it. You're absolutely right. We need it. But it was never in jeopardy. And I just wanted to tell you that. So thank you. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Elsie. Barb Petrie.
I have noted and appreciate the measures you took to respond to the citizen outcry against sexually explicit and perverse books, which many last June felt were too visible and too accessible to children of all ages. It is a good example of how government by the people and for the people works. To help you identify why the outcry from the whys was so intense, I would like to summarize for you a list of steps for sexual grooming by predators as posted online by Psychology Today. Number 1, select the victim. This includes identifying a vulnerable child. Number 2, gain access, such as going to public places where there are children. Number 3, cultivate trust with the child. Number 4, desensitize the child to sexual content. Number 5, maintain abuse by persuading children that sexual abuse is normal. This includes predators telling children they love them. Here are parallel characteristics of this library, some by normal conditions, some by atrocious choice. Number 1, children are by nature vulnerable. Number 2, the library is certainly a public place where children gather. Number 3, the library seeks to be inviting, seeks to develop a friendly atmosphere which the children trust. Number 4, the library displays books with graphic and pornographic sexual content, desensitizing children to sexuality and perversity. Number 5, the library messages to the children by its displays that abnormal sexuality is normal and fine, and highlights books which define love falsely. Changing gears a bit, I would like to inform you that the United States government no longer recognizes June as Pride Month. And a recent Associated Press article reports that the public is fatigued, their word, not mine, with pride and other social causes being pushed by big companies and major corporations. I would venture to say that this fatigue is held by library patrons too. So to avoid complicity with sexual predators and to best refresh your community, I am suggesting and requesting that you become completely done with Pride Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Becky Clemens?
So happy Pride Month. I'm excited that see your display here. And to see that we are supporting people in our community that can at times be dislocated, I guess, from our community, or have people come up and say things about them that just aren't true at board meetings or whatnot. I think it's very important that we show support to all of our patrons, even those who aren't straight people, and I think that would be a nice thing, especially being that gay people tend to be more at risk for suicide, for being tormented by people who are sexual predators, for being molested by people, for being beat up by people who say that they're tired of Pride Month. There's probably been an increased amounts of aggression towards people who are gay since the last couple of years. So we appreciate your support in supporting everybody in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. We'll now move on to the consent agenda action item. Before we vote on consent agenda, does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing no removing of anything, I will entertain a motion to approve consent agenda. Jen Penn moves to approve consent agenda. This will be a roll call vote. Jen?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nancy Sanders?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Nancy Schroeder?
Aye.
And I say aye. We'll now move to old business. First item is emergency action guide project progress.
Yes, so over the last month, I was able to work on quite a few pages. Unfortunately, it is not entirely complete yet, but we are in the home stretch. Hopefully, next month you'll have the first completed draft of this ready. But the sections that I did complete include white powder incident, cyber attack update, utility failures for electricity or HVAC, gas leak update, sewer update, and that was it. So that's coming along and moving nicely. So I'm looking forward to continuing on forward. Does anybody have any questions?
The chapter titles, they're links, right? They're supposed to take you to that chapter.
The table of
Yes,
contents.
the table of
Yes.
contents.
Mhm.
Okay, mine did not. So,
You have to like hit control and then click on the name of it.
uh,
I recognize that's
yeah.
not super feasible.
No, yeah, it might be different for me.
Yes.
Because of the screen reader, but I will keep playing with it to see if I can get it to work.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll all look forward to that final product in Barb. And once again, at every meeting, I just am thanking you for all the work that you've put into it. It's just gonna be outstanding and amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to the old business letter B, which is IMLS funding cut update.
So this again is referencing the Institute of Museum and Library Services funding cuts that through executive order in March was signed that the President of the United States wanted to cut this funding. This funding does include funding for Rails, which pays for all of our interlibrary loan deliveries. That is currently moving forward. I do have some updates. The Rails website itself, which is railslibraries.org, has an advocacy page on it that lists all of the updates for what's happening with this situation as they're occurring. It was last updated on May 6th. And as of Thursday, May 1st, a judge did temporarily block the Trump administration from farther dismantling the IMLS. So as of right now, there are lawsuits against this dismantling, and a judge did temporarily block it. So that's good news. Further, the Illinois State Library has received a portion of the IMLS grants to states for fiscal year 2025. So not all of it will be potentially gone. We have received all of the funding that was allotted to us from the previous year for fiscal year 2025. And the portion of funds that we recently received in 2025 will be used in fiscal year 2026. So it moves forward 1 year. We are unsure though if the total number will move forward, as there has been more talks from the president to continue the dismantling. It was not included in the fiscal year budget for the federal government. So that's my update. Again, if anybody wants to continue learning about this and educating yourselves on this topic, you can go to railslibraries.org, their advocacy page, and they update all of the information and also link certain articles that provide verified information about what's going on.
Okay,
Thank you, Barb.
so thank you for that. We will, it's a wait and see then.
It's a wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then to our director's report, starting with fund transfers.
Yes, exciting.
Mhm.
All right, so a few months ago, the board approved the ordinance 2501, which was the authorization of transfer of funds. And we all agreed to close four of our library special reserve accounts and transfer that money into Illinois funds. This has been completed for all of those four accounts that we discussed. That money is all currently in Illinois funds, and we will hopefully start to see the progress of the interest gain on that next month and more fully in August. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. And if we want to continue further, the next CD to move over into Illinois funds would be account 7014 from Old National Bank with the maturity of July 29. So I'll bring this back up in the July meeting and we'll have an updated Illinois funds portfolio account list, and then we'll make a decision if we want to keep moving forward. Does that sound good? Excellent.
Barb, will this be something that as the Illinois funds interest comes forward, is that something you'll be able to report out to us on a monthly basis or?
Yes, so in the board packets, I've started to include the Illinois Fund monthly statement. They do run 1 month behind. So the most up-to-date one that I have in this packet is from April. We hadn't moved anything until May.
Right.
So May is when we should start to see at least something, but July will be the first month when we see May's statement. And we'll be able to see some of that change with the interest gain for all the money we moved in. And August will be the first month where we see everything change. So that portfolio will be all that information. Does that make sense?
Does.
Okay.
Okay, the next, continue on, Barb.
All right.
You just tell us what the topics are and
We'll move forward.
Yeah.
All right, so the next section is internal control document, which was part of the investment policy procedure. The policy committee met and went over this, and we did pitch this to the board that there were 2 portions of the investment policy that would contain more procedural components versus policy. And I mentioned in that meeting that I would provide the document when that was completed. So the internal control document is included in the board packet. This isn't intended to be voted on or approved. It is for your reference. And if you have any questions, to let me know and I can talk to you about it. And the written control procedures was the second portion of the investment policy that we discussed, and I am working with Newkirk on that as we speak.
Okay,
Continue
on.
All right, staff evaluations. They are occurring this month. Once the working budget is approved, I will be able to create our annual end of year letters, which I provide to all of our staff members. And that includes compensation increases, vacation and sick time, rollover time, whistleblower policy, and any other information that we want to go over. I usually have just put that in their mailbox in the past few years, but this time I'm going to be sitting with everybody individually, going over their full annual review and giving them their letter at that time. And so we can review everything in one space. And that will be conducted the last 2 weeks of June.
Okay, very good.
Continue
on.
Windows replacement. I hope all of you have seen our beautiful new windows. They are installed officially after we hit a little bit of a hiccup. We did have to delay it for a week, but once the part that was missing arrived, everything went smooth as rain. They look really beautiful. You will probably notice they're not stained, but Mike and I will be staining them when he's back from vacation. So I'll be working with him to get that finished. And then moving forward, I wanted to see if the board was ready to discuss beginning the process for the other bay of windows to replace them. Yeah, excellent. It's perfectly streamlined now. Everyone knows what to look for.
Now that they know what to look for and
Yes,
things, it'll go much smoother.
yes. And can confirm, the day after they installed the windows, we got hit with a really heavy thunderstorm and there was no leak. The windows work. So this is good news.
I stood out there one day and watched them scraping out the old stuff.
Yeah.
And then they put in some new clean silicone and stuff to seal all that up. That was really nice.
I bet they didn't forget the flushings this time.
They put them where they're supposed to.
Very good.
I would like to just give a shout out to A&B Exteriors.
Yes.
I know that in the process, and for those of you that maybe were aware of everything that was happening in the background. I think A and B did the best that could have been. They made the best of a difficult situation. Ronnie Smoot is our agent at A and B. And so I'll give him a public shout out too as well. And I also want to give a shout out. I saw him when I came over to the Coffee Before Business last Friday. And Ronnie was just falling all over the place with apology and wanted to make sure that we were, pleased with what it looked like, and took me over and showed it to me. So, I feel that, A and B is definitely knows what they're doing with putting that second bay windows now. I also, this is kind of a sidebar from this, but I mentioned Coffee Before Business. Barb gave a wonderful presentation to the Chamber of Commerce. There was about 20 people here, and she gave a shout out to all the good things that we do here at the library. She took many of them on a tour of the library. Some of those folks I don't think had ever been in the library. We're not aware of all the services that the library offers. I really do think it was an excellent, presentation and opportunity for them to see the space and ooh and ah over the mural and look at our windows. And it was just an excellent way to connect with the community. So
Well done, Barb.
thank you, Barb.
Well done.
Yeah,
Thank you. Shout out to the chamber
Yeah,
for hosting.
absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and then continue on.
One more from me. Summer reading kickoff was Saturday, our Once Upon a Summer event, and it was a big success. It was perfect weather. We had a lot of different vendors come in to do face painting and glitter, and we had the fire department come. We had stray dogs food truck. We had balloon animals and all sorts of different fun things. Bounce house. Oh, the bounce house was a big deal. And we had a total of 112 signups for summer reading. That was just that day. That does not include all attendees, because oftentimes parents will sign up their kids but not want to participate themselves. So I would say we had roughly about 130 people, maybe a little more than that, come to our event. So I would consider that a big success. Very similar numbers to last year. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the program progresses.
Very good.
I have a question. I should have asked this before when you were doing general reports. I was reading over the department notes that they turn in. Can you tell me what the basics pre-K class at Knights Park is?
So that's a partnership, a collaborative partnership with a DeKalb County group called Basics, and they focus on helping with education for children. And they came to us and they were planning to schedule weekly story times at Knights Park that anybody in the community or outside could join. And they wanted to see if Michaela, our youth services librarian, would want to participate and host monthly, one of those weeks per month over the summer for the story time. And she said yes.
Okay.
So they're participating in that way.
Okay, all right. Just wondered. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to drag you back.
No problem.
Now, is that going to be over in the Knights Park in that little, for those of you that aren't familiar, there's a little corner of Knights Park over there that DeKalb County has established, and there's all kinds of perennials, and it's just a fun little space for preschoolers and young children to hang out. And I think that I know it's another great partnership that we're
Excellent.
venturing into.
Good. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, I think that concludes director's report. We'll move right on then to our new business, and we'll start with our action items. Our first action item is to approve the 2025-26 board meeting date ordinance. So I will need a motion for that.
So moved.
Matthew moves to approve the ordinance. These ordinances can be a voice vote, so all in favor of approving the board.
Discussion,
Oh, sorry.
yes, in the middle of the ordinance, it says adopted at regular meeting June 18th, 2024.
I will update that.
Hmm.
Every time,
Update the date.
one minor little,
And the year 2024, 2025.
yes.
So to the beginning of it too.
Okay,
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, good catch. I was so focused on making sure the dates were right this time that I missed those, because last year a date was wrong.
all right, so we have a motion to approve the board meeting date ordinance with the correction of date. So we'll just, all in favor of approving the board meeting date ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. Moving right on to the calendar of closings. I need a motion to approve the calendar of closings. I'll move. Jen moves, discussion.
Right above the table, it does say 24, 25.
Every time.
You're consistent.
At least. All right.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to approve the calendar of closings with correction of date. Voice vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. All right, moving on then to our next action item. At last month's meeting, we had a nominating committee of Nancy Sanders and myself to put together a slate of officers. We've spent this last month talking with different trustees to determine a slate of officers for the next 2 years. Officers are 2-year commitment. Thank you for that. So Nancy will talk about the slate of officers.
Okay, so Jamie and I talked this over and then we contacted several of you about different positions. And so after discussing this with you, we'd like to offer this slate of people for positions of officers. Board President Matthew Jones, Vice President Jane Mills, Secretary Julie Kessler, and Treasurer Jen Penn.
Thank you, Nancy.
And
Mhm.
if somebody else volunteers for something.
Okay, so we have the slate of officers. We would need a motion for this. To approve this slate of officers. Oh, Nancy will move. Okay, Nancy Sanders moves to approve the slate of officers.
Was it Nancy Sanders or Nancy Schroeder?
Oh,
They both
sorry.
spoke.
Oh, did I hear it from both sides?
Oh,
Who wants it?
Nancy can have it.
Nancy Schroeder.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's do a roll call vote for this slate of officers. Actually, it's not necessary. You can do a voice vote for this. It's not money or anything. All in favor of this slate of officers signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we welcome this new slate of officers to begin at the July meeting for the first meeting. So
Been good.
congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations, and Jane and I very much appreciate you all accepting their new positions.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to the action item to approve the working budget. Needed a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025-2026 working budget. I'll move. Jen moves to approve the budget. Discussion.
So I wanted to just make a couple notes. The numbers might look a little bit different from the original draft, and that was because there was a couple issues with some Excel calculations that I saw. It wasn't terrible, but I had to make adjustments elsewhere. And also, in order to have a balanced budget, I wanted to make sure there'd be no difference. So I was able to move the money around so that there should be a zero difference. It should even out completely when comparing income to expense. Additionally, I wanted to mention that this working budget includes the payroll from scenario 2 of that original working budget. The original plan was to offer no increase to circulation staff just because this is the first year that we've ended the mandated dollar raise for 5 years in a row. And it would be an opportunity for us to kind of catch up, increasing the pay of senior staff who did not get as significant of raises through those years. But I didn't feel comfortable giving them nothing. So there is budgeted in there a 1% merit raise for those who we feel provided exemplary service and completed their goals, or at least worked consistently towards them, that Lori and I will be discussing to hand out. The rest should be good, unless anybody has questions.
And I would just add that Barb and I sat down again just to do another once over with the budget, and I can't say enough about just how great you're doing with budgeting and just her attention to contacting all the contractors and just her diligence in keeping a balanced budget. And with that 1%, we both felt good about it. And just moving toward making sure that we're recognizing and caring for employees we're doing a great job. So she did a wonderful job on the budget again. Great. So great.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the working budget. This will be a roll call vote. Jen?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nancy Sanders?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Nancy Schroeder?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right, moving on to the draft presentation of the fiscal year 2025-26 budget and appropriations ordinance. Barb.
Yes. All right. So the difference between the working budget and the budget and appropriations ordinance, just for some background, is the working budget is based off of the money we anticipate we are going to be receiving and how we're going to actively budget that out through the year to match. The budget and appropriations ordinance is a legal document where the working budget is not. The B&A has to get submitted to the counties to prove that this is how we're planning to spend our money. Now, everything that's in the working budget is reflected in the budget and appropriations ordinance. The only difference is that there is I believe it's section 3, where it discusses, I'm sorry, section 2, appropriated expenses for an estimate of revenues. So for example, like if we receive a large donation or a gift that we're not necessarily budgeting for or relying on for the working budget, but we still want to legally be able to spend it that is received, that has to be represented within the budget and appropriations ordinance, which is why that section 2, all of those numbers look significantly larger. It's not because we're expecting to receive that money, but if we do receive a gift or a donation or need to move something from the special reserve fund over for some situation, we have the legal authority to spend it without having to amend this document and present it to the counties. Does that make sense? So this right now is a draft. What happens after this is I will send out a notice to the papers saying that we have the budget and appropriations draft for fiscal year 2025 to 2026 available for viewing to the public. That's a legal requirement that we have to make available, and it has to ban for 30 days, which is why we don't approve this in July. We will approve it in August to meet that 30-day deadline. And then we will have to have a budget and appropriations special meeting, which historically we have always scheduled for immediately before the regular board meeting of August. So that would be about half an hour or 15 minutes before the regular meeting starts. And that's an opportunity for any members of the public to come forward to discuss or ask questions about the budget and appropriations ordinance. Are there any questions?
I do have a question. Can you just explain? So if I look at the total reflected at the bottom of section 1, is 833,392.23,
Yes,
and that's not the same as what we see on the working budget.
that's correct.
And so just if you could share. why
Sure.
is it-
So the only reason that that's there is because of the per capita grant. Because the per capita grant isn't necessarily a thing that we're absolutely going to get, though historically speaking, as long as the funds are there and the library applied correctly, you would receive that. So because we have consistently received that per capita grant over the past however many years, preceding myself as director as well, I add that number into the working budget so that we can plan to have that fund. But that's why that number is different.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But we can still spend it?
Spend the grant?
Per capita.
Yeah,
Yes, we can absolutely still spend.
because that's
It is reflected under
under
section 2.
Okay,
Yes.
I gotcha,
Mhm.
yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, so again, we will look at this, we'll get it into the papers and we'll vote on this in August. All right, moving on to, the thing that you've all been thinking about. I know you're all thinking about what committees you want to sign up for this year. So, at this point, I'll start with Finance Committee, which is the first on the list. Actually, I guess Barb thought this was so important, she put it at the top and then again at the bottom. So.
We need part 1 and part 2.
I think that would be.
So, Jen Penn is raising her hand for the Finance Committee. Is there anybody else that has a particular interest in sharing this committee with Jen? Speak right up. And
It's fun.
It's not as bad as it sounds, I promise. It's actually gonna be fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who said that?
That's the one I know nothing about, but go ahead.
Would you like to learn about it?
Yeah, I guess.
You'll have 2 very good teachers.
All right, Nancy. Yes, you will, for sure.
Do we need to write who's the chairperson?
By the way.
Jen is the chair.
Nancy Schrader and Nancy Sanders is because we're both Nancy S.
Yes.
We can't just say Nancy S.
Well,
We have to add.
just being very formal here. We'll have to just figure out a way. Okay, Personnel Committee. I am more than happy to be on personnel again.
I would like to as well, please.
And so.
And I'll I'll be the chairperson this time, Jane.
You know what, Julie?
Hermes.
Would be lovely.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are gonna, we did say everybody should be thinking about being on 2 committees. You're welcome to attend any committee meeting. Technically, we have 2 people, but you're welcome to attend. Those meetings are posted, so if you have an interest in what's happening on that committee, you'd like to attend it, you're more than welcome to attend. All right, policy committee,
Me.
all right? Heather?
No, I'm not the chair.
Would you like to chair it, Heather? Would you like to try it?
I will try it.
Okay, very good.
And I'm super fun, so y'all better wanna jump.
Can confirm.
It's true.
There's somebody that would like to be on policy. This is actually we've established a monthly meeting. I believe it's the first, we could change it if it, the date, the time.
Right.
For the new committee. But we have a monthly meeting for policy to, to really take a look and try to get all our policies up to speed. So.
There's no way I can type and talk at the same time, so can I still share it or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
The other person.
Okay.
Matthew took minutes when we were
Mhm.
finance together, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, we'll leave that blank for the moment so that we can come back to these. Building and Grounds Committee. Anybody want to jump up and down about that?
Yes. Yes.
Who's that? Julie?
Julie.
I was on it last year too. And I don't really want to chair that.
Okay.
Can I chair? Let's not chair.
Jen, you want to do that? You,
I'm
no?
just wondering about the strategic plan, because that's something that
Got
you
your,
haven't.
your heart set on.
So maybe I'll go down to that. but-
Well, one more time, Julie.
Let's do it, Nancy.
I'll serve with you. We'll be fine.
All right, Nancy
Standard.
Anders.
Do you want to chair it, Nancy?
You want to just be co-chairs here?
Fine.
Doesn't,
Yeah.
Okay.
we'll-
okay.
She's chair.
Julie. And Nancy, okay. All right, strategic planning. Jen, did I hear you raise your hand for that?
I'll be on it, I prefer not to chair. I'll chair finance. That's a good one.
Okay.
I would like to do strategic planning.
Okay. Oh. You just made me chair it. Okay, I'll chair it.
Thank you.
Jen, are you gonna chair it?
Chair.
Oh, you can't be two chair peoples.
Heather, are you gonna be
Yes, please. I'm so sorry.
All right, so we are at the point where we have an opening for policy. For somebody who would like to be on policy.
Words are fun.
I'll
do that one.
Mhm.
You will,
Nancy?
Nancy? Thank you.
All right, Nancy Schroeder. Nancy, have you ever taken minutes? Have you ever taken minutes at a meeting before?
No.
Oh, we'll teach you how.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
Not
do it word for word.
Not word for word, no, not real formal.
We have a full.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna review these then, make sure this is the way we want it. Jen Penn for Finance Chair with Nancy Schroeder as, on the committee. Julie as Personnel Chair with Jane on the committee. Heather as Policy Chair with Nancy Schroeder on the committee. Nancy Sanders as Building and Grounds Chair with Julie on the committee. Jen Penn as Strategic Planning with Heather on the committee. Okay, so generally speaking, these committees meet as kind of on an as-needed basis other than policy, which is set on a monthly basis, but that'll be something that moving forward, we'll decide when we need to have these committee meetings and we'll let people know. Okay. All right. Let's move on then to FOIA officer. Barb, do you want to talk to us about that?
Sure. Generally speaking, the president also assists as the FOIA officer as well as myself. However, I would manage all of the FOIA requests, and it was just if I ever needed any assistance or help or guidance, or opinion, would I come to you? So are you comfortable?
Yep,
All right,
can do that.
thank you.
And now we get to talk about an exciting community project, and Barb is gonna tell us all about it.
Yes. So, do you guys recall a few years ago when I was approached by, I think it was ComEd, and they were talking about installing the EV parking space chargers. So for like electric or hybrid cars, when you want to have a public parking space to be able to charge them, ComEd was doing a program where they would pay for installation for those things, and we were considering it for a while, but then when they originally pitched it to us, we still would have had to assist with payment for certain things, which equated to what I remember to be $10,000. Does that sound familiar? Okay, don't have a heart attack. It's okay. This time it's the exact same program, except this is being managed through the town, through Sandwich City. So the new economic development position that was taken over by Don Alexi in Sandwich, he's working with ComEd to try to establish different places in the community to provide these charging stations. Now they would pay completely for installation. We would not have to pay a cent for any of it. For the installation, they'd come out and do the assessment to see where the parking spots would be, what would work best in terms of where the electrical box and panel are. If they had to raise any of the ground, that all would be covered. So full installation would be done by ComEd. The library was actually one of the locations that they considered to be a strong candidate for this program. Other places were the Opera House, the post office, and the Park District. And I believe a couple of them are considering this as well to be part of this program. They are aiming for the installation of a minimum of 2 chargers at each approved site. So we would have 2 spots for EV charging. And for the first year, all maintenance costs would be covered. After that, if we decided to do the cheaper level 2 charging, it would be $300 per port per year for networking fees and $800 per unit per year for maintenance. So it'd be a total of $1,400 a year for 2 parking spots, which we could pay with per capita.
Wait, 1,600 plus 600?
No, so it's 300 per port per year, so 2 spots would be 600. And then 400 for maintenance fees per unit per year, which would be 800, so 800 plus 600 is 1,400.
How does that, I don't know a whole lot about it. How does that work on our energy bill here?
See, that would
Our
be,
electric bill.
that would be one of the things to consider when they come over and do an assessment. They would let us know how it would impact the electrical conversation or the electrical cost, excuse me. Again, this is not like, this is a, hey, we could apply and look into this, but that's not signing a contract. It's not a commitment. So, I mean, personally, I think this would be a great thing for the community and a great way to give back to try to be more energy efficient. I don't think the cost for maintenance or networking is unreasonable when we have a per capita grant that we could use a portion of it to help pay for as we learn to build it into the general budget. But this is what was taken or presented to me, so I wanted to present it to you and hear your thoughts. I feel some hesitance.
I think this is, in my opinion, it's something that, I would like to read the detail. And yeah,
It's also, I'm sorry.
It's the way of the future,
it is.
it's the way things are going. Just
Well,
depends on-
except for cars keep blowing up in the heat. The electric cars keep blowing up in the heat, so.
I'm just wondering about the widespread benefit. you know, the percentage of the population that we would be serving. I think here too, I'm wondering, darn, I wish we had more with our strategic plan in place, but, you know, currently learn, dream and engage, and how does this fit within our existing strategic plan? And that's some reluctance right now, you know, per capita, wanting to serve as many as possible in that, and what is the percentage of EV demand here in Sandwich? And would those funds be better used for other purposes? I'm with you, Jane. I'd have to know a lot more information before I would make a decision, but just at first hearing, I've got some concerns and questions.
Sure.
Where is the city gonna put theirs? Are they going to put
I
theirs?
believe it would be the Opera House.
Okay.
Because that building is owned by the city.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it would be probably a couple of parking spots in front of the Opera House.
My gut feeling says I'd like the city to do it first and see how it goes. And then maybe we'll have on board with it.
That,
I'd like to see how much it's gonna cost us.
yeah, my question would be is what's the deadline for application?
So to formally participate, this is what I understand would be just to have the on-site walkthrough, not a commitment that we're gonna be part of it, but to just have, like, commit to looking further into detail would be June 18th.
Mhm.
Is when they request that. I can send all the information that Don sent me out in an email to everyone. And if you guys want or are interested in pursuing a walkthrough just to learn more about the program from ComEd, I can invite Don as well to go over reasons why they think it would be worthwhile or useful. And I can also try to do some research on percentage of people who have and use electric and hybrid cars that could find value in this, or even to generate a short survey to see, because if not a lot of people will be interested, then you're right, why would we expend those funds that wouldn't serve a vast majority when we could potentially provide more? So those are all reasonable questions that we can look further in.
I'm curious as to, I can't even think about where is there an EV charging in?
The gas stations. If you go to Shell and the other one and to Casey's, they all have charging stations now.
Do they?
They do.
Coles in Yorkville also has some.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and does anyone know how long does it take to charge a car? Like, can you just come in, get your library books? and
So
go back out and charge?
that's one of the reasons they liked the library as a site. Because I mentioned briefly earlier that there are two different types of chargers that we could apply for. One would be level 2 charging, which is the cheaper. That charging port would take about 6 hours to charge your car from 0 to 100. The level 3 fast charging port would only be 3 hours. That is much more expensive. That would be $2,200 a year for the maintenance.
And then
So
it's the library's electricity.
that's a question I would have to look in, because I'm pretty sure that's,
These guys knocking on my door lately want to.
well, and they're already that
Condemn
cost
rates going up, I have some serious.
reservations. I understand that completely. If it wouldn't be the library's electricity, if they would cover the cost of that, how would that change your opinion?
I still want other questions answered.
Okay.
Like whether that's the best use of our
Our money,
public fund.
all right.
If there are charging stations available around town already, you know.
And 6 hours is a long time to stay at the library. No, I mean, I could do it, but I don't know.
Well, and that was my question. Can you partially charge, or is
Yes.
that a bad thing for batteries?
No, I believe you can partially charge. You don't have to charge them full, from my understanding. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
And then I think they ring up the electricity kind of like you do gasoline. They charge so much and it shows on the meter, and then people pay for it with a credit card.
Right, I believe the
And then-
people pay for the electric cost, not the library.
Right, so that, but what they pay would come back to us because it would be.
Right.
Sounds like we have a lot of questions.
I have a question.
And the deadline is pretty short.
Well,
And yeah, that's kind of concerning to me. The
It's just
18th
For
of June.
the application to request a conversation, basically.
yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
And you know, if there's like 5 cars around town, then. They have gone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's give Barb some guidance as to what you'd like here. This isn't something we're voting on.
No,
This is, this is gonna, she needs to know which direction. I would like the information, yes. And then maybe we all look at the information and send Barb our thoughts, on this.
I suppose we could go to one of the gas stations that has a charging station too and see if they have an estimate of how much theirs is used. I mean, I've never seen anybody parked there, but I have seen the meters.
I would think these people would have all that information,
so.
yeah.
Just because we can doesn't mean we should. That's mine.
that's
I'm
true.
moved by that a lot.
I was just really excited the city was like, hey, the library, let's partner. Let's do a different project, maybe.
Yeah.
First.
Well, I'm finding myself kind of wishing that it was like, every year we're gonna pay for one new location. And that maybe this is this time next year and they've done one and seen that it's gone well and we can have some conversation. I don't have any problem with you doing a walkthrough with someone, getting more information, bringing that back to us. So I'm okay with that, but yeah, I think I hear the concerns and have also questions of just how much is it gonna be used? And what are the other impacts of the space in the parking lot and, even policy sort of things of can people use that at any time? Yeah, so other questions, but I don't have a problem with us learning more about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the June 18th application,
To
because
just,
that's just for.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
knowledge is power here. And the more we know, the more we can say yes or no,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Could not
So agree more.
it seems like learning about it is a good idea. And one thing that came to my mind was, I don't want somebody sitting in our parking lot overnight,
That's what I was thinking.
charging their
Take 6
car,
hours to charge a car.
There
and
could be something where we could ask them to shut it off
Mhm.
at a certain
Yeah,
time, like
probably.
on closing,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't be accessible.
Yeah.
But again, another question,
Yeah.
another more research to go into having a clearer picture of what this looks like and the impact it would have. But even if it is a great thing, I think Jen's concern is the strongest, which is this the best way we can be
Mhm.
providing for the most people with that money?
Mhm.
So,
Barb, if you set up a walkthrough, can you email us all so that anyone who would want to come? I know that we wouldn't be able to have more than 2 people present without it violating OMA. But if there are a couple who wanted to be there to hear for firsthand, then there would just be more of us informed. And no, if it's just you, that's okay too. But I
I
don't
could
know.
record it too. I
Yeah.
could request if we could just record the conversation, so then I could send you and you could listen verbatim to what they say.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
good.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we, okay with Barb just following through with getting more information? All right, very
Sounds
good. Okay, committee reports. Let's move right on to building and grounds.
Barb already gave that one, windows being done, we're having HVAC look at our power surge so that the alarm company can quit calling us and leaving messages.
Okay,
So we're working on it.
okay. Finance,
Nothing more to report.
personnel, Julie and I met with Barb on, to, talk about her evaluation. And we had some good discussions. We are, going to do part 2 of that because we had such good discussions that we got, okay, we need more time, so we're having part 2 tomorrow, to talk about her evaluation. Then there'll be information, that about in the discussion that we'll share with you, and Julie's been keeping some good notes on that. So we'll share those, when we're finished. The other thing I wanted to just mention is that both of these discussions have been recorded. Any trustee is welcome to listen to the recordings. The lockbox is in Barb's office, and Julie and I will turn my key over to Matthew, have the key. So you can listen to the discussion, and enjoy it. Mhm. So that's an update on personnel policy.
Yeah, Barb has sent a updated draft of the room use policy to all of you. We've worked on this for about 4 months, is that right? We did some restructuring, changed a lot of things that we realized were outdated and not clear, and we feel like this is a stronger version of the policy. So I would make a motion to approve the updated room use policy.
Okay, we have a motion, to approve the policy, discussion.
Let me find it. I just had a question or an editing thing, under general guidelines, maybe not having the word you in there. Being more,
So the sentence currently reads, applications are reviewed and approved by staff who will contact you for confirmation. You're suggesting we strike you and read who will contact for,
Applicant,
applicant.
that's better.
Yeah, that is better.
Yeah, good catch, Julie.
Very good. Any other discussion on the policy?
there's another one. There's another you in there. Under reservations and specifics.
It's the third bullet point under public meeting room.
Applicant.
Gives you the applicant.
What does the sentence say?
Who will contact you for confirmation, changing that to contact applicant for confirmation. Good thoughts, Julie, thank you.
Anything else on the policy? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve this policy. This will be a roll call vote for policy. Jen?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Matthew?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
And I say aye. Yay, okay.
Success.
4 months.
4 months.
It was a long time.
So I do not believe we have an executive session, upcoming meetings. Special meeting of the policy committee, July 1st at 2:00. General meeting of the board on Tuesday, July 8th.
The policy committee meeting may be rescheduled with the new committee members. Just wanted to put that.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
I know.
Heather moves at 7:34. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Oh, 7:30.